everybody. This is Ricky, and welcome to Hope for Today. Let me bring you a little insight as to some of the things that are happening spiritually and internally with me and my own walk with Jesus. We've been in the pandemic almost 3 months now, and when it started, although there was a lot of fear and uncertainty, I cannot deny that there was also not a lot of opportunity that the Holy Spirit was presenting to the church. In other words, God was taking away some stuff, but it was through his taking away that he was going to be giving us some stuff that we really needed. You see, sometimes God allows things to be cut back so that things that weren't growing can finally be nurtured and grow in your life. And I think this pandemic moment has been one of those things. John 15, Jesus talked about a lot of bearing fruit. Remember, I am the true vine. And in verse 2, Jesus says, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, hear it, that it may bear more fruit. In other words, Jesus is saying that what I want in you and what I want for you more than anything else, for you to have a life that counts and a life that matters. And I think this pandemic has been one of the worst things ever to happen that we'll ever experience in our lives. But I think God stripped away and pruned some stuff so that spiritually we may bear more fruit. So here's my challenge as we start to reopen here in culture. And as we start to kind of get back in the swing of whatever the new normal is going to be, I want to ask you not to forget about the fruit. Don't forget about the fruit. In other words, when we're finally looking in the past at the pandemic, you ought to be able to have some present fruit in your life that God manifested as a result of what you went through. And I don't want to be so rushing back into the swing of things that I forget the fruit that God wanted to grow up in my life. And so there was this great commercial back in the 80s where the lady would say, "Where's the beef?" Okay? I think that the Holy Spirit is looking at the church as we get ready to get back into normalcy here. I think the Holy Spirit is saying, "Where's the fruit?" Here's what I mean. When the pandemic started, I probably prayed more than I ever have in my life. When the pandemic started, I probably read more Bible than what I ever have in my life. And that's a lot of Bible, by the way. When the pandemic started, I felt like my intimacy with Christ was so, rich and full. But now that we've gotten used to it and now that we've kind of learned how to survive and how to navigate this, and now as we start talking about what it looks like to kind of get back to normal here, I'm starting to notice that some of that fruit is waning. And the Holy Spirit has been saying, hello. I want to drop a word to you that the Spirit dropped to me. Here it is. What carried you through the quarantine should be what defines you after it's done. What carried you through the quarantine, for some of you it was prayer, for some of you it was devotion, for a lot of you it was fasting, for some of you it was really connecting with people in your small groups online or listening to sermons. You got closer to Jesus in this quarantine, and God told me to tell you what carried you through the quarantine should be what defines you after it. Where is your fruit? Before we come back to church, we need to come back to God, and here's the opportunity to be reminded of all the stuff that God was trying to stir up in us, because he wants it to define us on the other side of this thing. Get with God today. That's Hope for Today. I'll see you next time.